Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Common Sense Dad. So today we are going to be working on our Samsung dryer again. This time the heating element is gone. So the first thing we checked was to make sure that the exhaust hose wasn't clogged and make sure there was nothing that was preventing inside the dryer from stopping the heat. And then I ran a resistor test, and sure enough, our coils are dead. So I just ordered our new coils that just came in. And so we're going to go ahead and take this thing apart and start fixing it. All right, so get everything out of the way here. Get a set of gloves. And we'll get it unplugged and pulled out. Okay, so the very first thing we want to do is disconnect the electricity. This is 240 volt dryer, so this will kill you instantly on contact if you're messing with parts while that power is still connected. All right, so the second thing we want to do is I'm going to disconnect the exhaust just for safety. But to get this thing apart, the very first thing we want to do is release these two screws here in the back. One on the left and one on the right. Take those out, make sure you keep those in a nice safe spot. And the trick to these dryers is just pull this straight back, and lift it off. It's just in a little ridge there. All right, so the second thing we want to do is take this front cover off. Now these are just in these plastic clips. So we kind of want to loosen all those up and then just pull it off like that. And what I normally do is just keep it up here like this because we're really not going to be messing with that. And then we want to take these 4 screws off the top here. So I'm going to get my drill and take these off. All right, now there's 2 more screws we need to take off, and those are on the inside of the door. So the other 2 screws are this one here and this one here. And 2. And you got to keep a little bit of pressure on here, otherwise the door is going to want to fall off. Now, this just sits in 3 little latches, so it'll tilt forward. And as you're tilting it forward here, you want to disconnect the lock door. It's just a little plastic clip. As soon as you can tilt it forward, lift it up, pull it right off. So you see those 3 little holes there? That's for that. Okay, so now that we got that off, let's go ahead and take the lint trap out. And now what we want to do is take off the dryer, the vent that leads to the actual exhaust. So that's 3 screws, 1 there, 1 here, and then there's 1 over here. All right, now that we got those 3 off, we can gently tug this down. And it comes right out. Again, we're going to keep our screws with this and put this off in a safe place. Okay. So the next thing we want to do is take off this pad, this panel here. And the reason we're going to do that is that, unfortunately, when you're replacing the heating element, you have to take off the drum. So we're going to disconnect the electrical here. Just going to depress that a little bit, pull it out. So we'll take our panel, move it over here. Then we're going to take this top piece off. And we want to be really careful with this. It's 4 screws. There's 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. It's just sharp edges. You notice I'm wearing protective gloves. You don't have to, I just do because I've nicked my hands so many times that, not just on this, but on other things. So I'm going to take my 2 screws I've taken off so far and put those down. Get screw number 3 and screw number 4. Put those over here. Then I'm going to gently pull this piece off. Now these sit in little latches. You can see them here and here and here and here. And it's kind of nice that these things break, as dumb as that sounds, for a couple of different reasons. One, it gives me the opportunity to come in here and really thoroughly clean this thing out. So that's part of what we're going to do once we disconnect the drum here. But before we disconnect the drum, we got to disconnect the interior light. So we'll pull that out. These are just twisty ties here. So we'll get that free. Pull that one, and we'll just lay this off to the side for now. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is take off the actual drum. Now these sit in clips, but then they're also screwed in. So we're going to unscrew those 4 clips and then pull the cover plate off, which then gives us access to underneath to the lever and pulley system that runs the belt that turns the drum. And I'll show you what we're going to do with that here in just a second. So let's get this panel off. You don't need to worry about this one falling because, again, it sits down in a little latch. So all we want to do is just make sure we get these out. And then once we have those out, find a place for our screws. This tends to be my gathering area over here. And then we're just going to lift this up and take her out. All right, so down here, there's another connection we need to disconnect, one of the electrical connections. So you just give that little pinch, pull it out. And that one is good to go. Okay, so that wheel right here, that is attached to a lever, which we have to pull counterclockwise in order to take the drum off so that we can get to the heating element, which is right here. It's right behind that. So I'm going to put the camera in here strategically as possible. See if I can get my arm back there. Let's see if I can loosen up the lever. Oh, I think I got it. So the reason we want to pull that lever to the left is we want to take the belt off. And I know this is really hard for you guys to see, and I apologize, but that's what actually needs to be done here. So I'm going to move the camera out of the way just a little bit. Okay, so essentially all you're doing is with that lever, you're just disconnecting the belt. Okay, so you want to pull it to the left just so you can take the belt off. Because once you take the belt off, the belt then becomes a handy dandy lifting device for the actual drum. So we're going to take the drum out now. All right, so now that we got the belt out, we can take the drum straight out of the unit. And oh, I think my belt is still attached to one of the pulleys. So I may leave the belt and just remove the drum, and then I'll come back and get the belt. Okay, so super light, it's just an aluminum drum. So we'll take this out. All right, so really it's this lever here. We want to pull this left. And the reason we want to do that is we want to be able to, that's going to allow us to pull the belt off, okay? And we'll go and review this belt, make sure the belt looks good. No issues with the belt, but you can see the dust buildup. So it's only been 5 months or so since we've had to take this apart. We had to take this apart around Christmas because our motor blew. So that's the new motor. So while I'm here, I'll just do a little maintenance on here. I'll clean this all up. But this is the bad boy that we're going to be replacing. So inside of that is the heating element. And so we're probably going to replace the resistor and the relay switch as well, because it's a package deal. When you buy, it comes all together. So just going to go ahead and do it. And you can tell that's probably what's going on, because what looks like calcification back here is actually burned lint, right? And so that's kind of dangerous. So whenever you see that, you know that you're kind of in trouble, something's wrong. And my guess is what's happening is that the screen on our lint trap has a hole in it, and some of the lint is getting through, and it's getting into the heating element, and it's burning that off. And then it's, as the drum spins and the fan goes, it's moving some of that stuff around here, and it burns off inside the actual unit, which eventually can be very, very dangerous. So we're going to go ahead and get this taken care of right away. So a couple of things we're going to do first here is we're going to get a good close-up of all the wires. So we know here red wire's on the bottom, so we're going to disconnect the red wire first, and then the blue wire on the top. Blue on one side of the, I think this is the relay or the resistor, black on the other, and then blue on the bottom, black on the top. So what we're going to do now is pull out this piece here, this screw, sorry, and it should allow us to lift this off and pull it out. Okay, so you see the black in there? I think that's definitely what's going on. Oh yeah, you can see it's charred. So what we'll do is we'll inspect and to see which of the coils is broken, but that's absolutely what's going on. So we'll take this outside here, or out to the table, and take a closer look. All right, so to get this heating element out, I'm going to remove the 4 screws here on the side that hold this together. And charred off here. All right, so now that we're off, let's take a close look. Here it is, broken right here. I don't know if you can see that. Let's see if I lift that up. So you see that piece right there, broken. So that's what's caused the heating element to break off. So that's why we're not heating. So let's go ahead and pull this guy out. We'll use the fancy pliers here to push this through. Oh, actually, let's just take the switch off. Make it easy. There we go. Okay, so now that I got the switch off, so that's really what I wanted you guys to see, is that this is that broken coil is what does it every time. So what we need to do is replace that, and so Amazon to the rescue again. So here we go, and you'll see here this coil is completely attached And so what we're going to do is we're going to clean out this part and get this installed. All right, so when we put this thing in, we got to slide these new guys in here. We're going to slide that through, one each. Okay, and now the ends, so you'll see, I don't know if you guys can see that. So let me sort of see if I can zoom in a little bit. All right, so there is a little clip on the end of these, which we just want to bend down ever so slightly to keep it in place. All right, so put this last screw in on this side, and then I'm gonna try and run the camera down in there to show you how you need to set this up. All right, so these things here, they have little latches. You can kind of see it on this side here, that they line up with the screw holes, but oh my gosh, it's almost impossible to get them to line up. So you really have to maneuver it while it's in there. And so you're maneuvering both the top and the bottom side. Okay, so now that we've got the burner element put back together, before we put that in, I want to clean this thing up a little bit. I just lost my mic because it's pretty awful in there. So let's go ahead and get this thing vacuumed out. Good enough for government work. All right, so what we're going to do is slide this bad boy back into place. There we go. And have that sit on the latch. And let's go get our screw to screw that bad boy back in. There's the one solo screw all by itself. Okay. All right, so let me take the camera off the tripod and take you down in there so you can see what I'm seeing. All right, so there's the coil, the heating element. So you see we put in the new resistor switches and relay and plugs. So let's go ahead and get these connected. All right, so let's get these reconnected again. So we remember that our red one, went on the bottom here. And our blue one is up on top. Okay. And then on this one, our blue one was on top. And our black one was on the bottom there. And our blue one was on bottom on this one. And our black one was on top. Okay, there we go. Electrical reconnected. All right, so now that we've got the heating element put back in, okay, the next thing we want to do is get our belt and drum and get those in. And the drum will sit right on these rollers right here. So we know it's in good shape. Now we're not going to have it in completely, because what we need to do first is to get the belt on it, and then get the belt on that roller. And once we're on that, then we need to put the front cover piece in, which also has a roller on it, and make sure it sits in properly. So let's go get the drum. All right, turn around. Let's see if we produce any heat. That's a good sign. All right. Oh yeah, I can hear it burning already. Let's hit pause. Oh yeah, nice and toasty. All right, so that's how you fix your Samsung dryer. Replace the heating element. And thanks for watching. Talk to you later.